Wow, I just turned my light on. Hi everybody, this is Katina from the Clarinet Project and welcome for another episode of Ask a Clarinet Teacher. And today I'm going to open up with one of the most popular questions I get, which is how to stop squeaking. So we're going to go over most of the popular places, if popular is the right word, but most of the places where people are squeaking on the clarinet. So usually I see squeaks starting from the very beginning. So double check to make sure that your reed is placed properly on the clarinet so that you have just a little bit of a hairline of the black from the mouthpiece showing and that it's on straight and not crooked. Make sure your reed is in good condition, that it doesn't have any chips or cracks in it. That helps too. Then once we have the reed is in the right spot, another really weird place that I see squeaks happen from that's not related to the player themselves is a damaged mouthpiece. So I do see damaged mouthpieces a lot. When people have their clarinets out in band, sometimes they get knocked off of chairs or they get bumped onto stands or bashed into the wall. So these are places that I see damage on mouthpieces. So make sure that you have a mouthpiece that doesn't have any damage in it, no chips or cracks or even broken pieces off of there. Hi, Elizabeth. So that is just a place that you have to be very careful, take good care of your mouthpiece. They can break easily. So if you're having a lot of squeaks and chirps and it's not you and it's not your reed, go ahead and double check your mouthpiece. If you have a mouthpiece patch on here, sometimes the mouthpieces can actually, especially if you've dropped it, they can crack across the top, but the mouthpiece patch is holding your pieces together of your mouthpiece, and that can cause squeaks too. I actually learned that one the hard way. I had my mouthpiece on a stand, and it was one of those loose stands where it sort of flipped forward, the bane of my existence, and when it flipped forward, my mouthpiece hit the tile floor in the band room, and it cracked right across the top. It just actually broke the whole top of the mouthpiece off, but I didn't notice because I had a mouthpiece patch, and then when I went to play, for me, instead of a squeak, nothing worked, so I actually couldn't get the mouthpiece to work at all. Or I couldn't get a sound out of the clarinet. So that is talking about our mouthpiece area. The other thing to pay attention to is your ligature. I have tried many ligatures in my day, and there are actually some ligatures that don't screw on balanced, and I can get squeaks and chirps, tiny little ones from a ligature, especially the stock ligatures that come with the clarinets. That's why you'll see a lot of professional clarinet players not using those stock ligatures. We usually have weird looking ligatures like this Rovner Platinum I have or the Silverstein Hexa ligature. They look different. It's because we're looking for that balance on the reed so that we get the sound that we want, the control that we want, and we don't have any of those squeaks or chirps in there. So we have reed, mouthpiece, ligature. Watch for all of that area there. Now, barring any cracks in your clarinet or any pads that aren't lining up or leaking pads, we're going to talk about player problems that cause squeaks. And just like we started at the top of the clarinet, we're going to start at the top of the player. So if you are not using a proper embouchure with your chin down, your lips firm, especially in the corners, you can bite, and that can cause squeaks in there. And especially on certain notes, a lot of people can overblow more free-blowing notes, like the throat tone area, open G. I'll hear squeaks in there because people are overblowing those notes and not controlling their embouchures and not controlling their air. So that's a place that we can get squeaks from. So if you have your proper curved finger hand position right here, you should be good for this next part I'm going to talk about, but I see a lot of people bumping this side key right here when they're playing. That definitely causes squeaks. Another bad habit for clarinet players is called rod holding. So you jam this index finger right here. It gives you more control over the clarinet, especially if you have a loose or weak embouchure. So it gives you a little bit more stability feeling, but that can cause some people to grab this key or bump this key and they get squeaked there. Squeaks from bumping the keys. Another place that you get squeaks that has to do with your fingers is not covering the holes completely. So if you have a little bit of black showing there, a little bit of the hole is open, that'll cause squeaks as well. So those are some of the top places that I see squeaks with younger players. If you have ones that I missed, go ahead and put them in the comments. But I'm seeing some questions come in, so I'm going to answer some specific Ask a Clarinet Teacher questions. So, we had Alexandra Wilson, and she said, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So that's not exactly a question, but if you guys want to go subscribe to her, there she is right there. So Any other questions that you have, please post them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about another question that I saw this week. I'm going to rewind to this part where I said, if you have a crack in your clarinet, anybody that's had a crack in their wooden clarinet feels the pain of a crack. It feels very personal, and it can hurt, your heart when you get a crack in your clarinet. And one of the ways that you can check is called the suction test. So if you take your clarinet apart and you put your thumb down in the back, 1, 2, 3, and you cover these holes very carefully. Don't press any keys down and don't bump any keys. Put the fleshy part of your palm against this hole right here and suck all the air out. You should get a pop when you pull your hand away. And that is one way to tell if your clarinet is sealing. It also works for the bottom half of the clarinet. So I'm going to try it down here. Same thing. You're going to cover these very carefully so that you don't have any black of the hole showing, because that'll be a leak. And then you're going to press the low E key right here. So you're going to seal all of these holes. Put the hole of the clarinet in the fleshy part of your palm. Suck the air out. And you should get a pop there as well. If you don't get a pop, and I'll show you what that sounds like, and you'll hear it, and you also feel it. It won't have that pressure of the seal. Then you might have to have your clarinet looked at. Now, it probably isn't a crack, especially it's absolutely not a crack if you have a plastic clarinet. Those are extremely rare to get cracks in there. But most definitely you have pads that aren't sealing properly, and that's when you take it to your local repairman, or if you're renting the clarinet, where you're renting the clarinet from, to just have them go over it and fix that for you. And I'm going to put my clarinet back together. So that is also one of the things that came up this week. Where's the rest of my clarinet? Oh, here it is. So that's another one that came up, is how to check for a leak. And that suction test works really, really well. If you end up with a crack, before you take it into the repair person, you can lightly color it with a pencil, because I swear, just like if your car isn't working and you have some noise coming out of your car and you take your car to the auto repairman and then you get in there and they don't hear the noise at all and they're like, what? You're fine. Your car's not broken. I swear it happens to me with a crack in my clarinet. I go and I take it in and they're like, well, there's no crack here. So I usually have to color it in so that they can see it. So I'm trying to think of another question that came up this week, and that's really mainly it. I'll show you one trick, and then since it's a slow day and we don't have many questions today, I'm going to end a little bit early. I'm going to show you how to play in the altissimo range. So if you're okay with playing over the breaks, so that means you've got your register key down and you can play from C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you can play into the altissimo range just fine. Actually, if you can make it to a G, you're probably going to be okay getting up to the altissimo range. So just like when you press the register key right here, that takes you from the shallow range of the clarinet up to the clarion range, by lifting up this index finger, it sort of acts the same way the register key does for us going from shallow to clarion. So we're going to go from clarion to altissimo. So what you do is you play an E right here, and then you roll this finger off. You will find that you have to change your voicing a little bit, which is your tongue position in your mouth. So you have to adjust that a little bit to get a sound that you like. But I'm going to show you how it sounds. So I'm starting on E. And then you're going to go to F, and when you roll your index finger off of the top key there, you're going to drop your pinky to the top E flat key here so that it's in tune and it speaks better and it sounds a little more pretty. And then you go from F sharp to D sharp, and then you're going to go from G to E. And don't forget that pinky. Now you don't want to start with your pinky there. The pinky only drops down to the E flat key once you roll your index finger off of the top key right there. All right, we're going to go from G sharp to F. Oops, sorry. It doesn't help when I do that. And then from A to E. Actually, let's do A to F sharp, excuse me. And then when you do B flat here, it's going to take you to a G, and this is the one where you change the fingerings. So Sorry about the end there. I was trying to read comments at the same time as play that, so that doesn't work. I am not good at multitasking. So that is our very short Ask a Clarinet Teacher today, which was less of an ask and more of a tell. So if you have questions for next week, go ahead and put them in. And clarinets here, I like the clarinet. Nice. So Sean, if you saw me play that last part, I'm going to be even more embarrassed. But it's a short episode today, so thanks everybody for coming by. And same time next week should work. And if you have questions in the meantime, feel free to comment or message me, and have a great weekend, everybody. Bye. I'm trying to turn it off, but oh, there it is. There's my little X.